Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen from the TechnicalTraders.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim.
I noticed all the major stock market boards were in the red when I opened up my files this morning. What's the story there?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what kind of news hit. Could have been the manufacturing numbers this morning, but we've definitely seen a really big kind of big action day across the board. Stocks were trading relatively flat in pre-market. They're kind of mixed, but before the opening bell, we saw a pretty sharp drop. We're seeing the small caps, the Russell 2000 sell off. It was down almost 2% today. And for some reason, there's a wave of fear hitting the stock market. We're seeing some panic selling in the stock market, which I can identify by watching the volatility index, the VIX. It was up over 13%, and when the VIX is up, that means there's fear. But one of the main indicators that I actually like to follow is what is the volume flow on the New York Stock Exchange. And when I see volume flow to the downside, where a majority of people are hitting the sell button, hitting the bid with their shares, and that spikes up above 3, that is a ratio where people are actually just running for the door. The majority of people just want out of their trades. They don't care what price. They're just hitting kind of a market order type button. And we've seen that today. We've seen this ratio spike above 6 today. And that is a really high level that people are, for some reason, really fearful about equities going forward. But the nice thing about panic selling is when people panic, it's typically seen as a bullish sign, in my opinion. It's usually a sign people panic out, and then the very next day, or within a 2 to 3 day window, the market puts in a bottom. Everybody who panicked out ends up getting out down here near the low, and then prices trading dramatically higher a few days later. So panic, when you're in an uptrend like this, is usually a good buying opportunity to get into the stock market.
When it's in a wave like that, are people disciplined, or when you say panicked, is it the computers, the robots doing the trading, or the people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I would think it's more so panic between people getting nervous enough that they're liquidating, they're selling their positions, they're trading very emotionally. And so that I think is what is taking place today. I could feel the buzz in the market this morning. I was talking to subscribers this morning saying I can feel the buzz in the precious metals sector, because precious metals were trading sharply higher this morning. Gold was up almost 2% at one point, and I was telling subscribers I can feel the excitement. Everybody seems to be piling into gold today, and it's actually a really bearish sign that happened with gold. We saw gold rally almost 2% in pre-market. It was set to open up this morning, regular trading hours, at a major resistance zone. Also the 50-day moving average, which is going to act as resistance. And I was telling subscribers, this is a prime setup that everyone is chasing prices for some reason this morning. The market is going to gap higher for precious metals. We're going to see them sell off, and it's going to crash. And for some reason, people are very emotional today. I don't know what it is, but they're selling stocks. They were piling into precious metals this morning. And of course, all that is completely flipped. Now we're seeing a big sell-off in stocks and metals and even crude oil.
What do you think has triggered this? Is it because there's nervousness going into the fall? So many people with record highs being set in the stock markets through the whole year so far, that at some point there's going to be the need for a correction.
Yeah, the markets have had a nice run. When you look at the SP 500, it's had a nice 2-week rally. It's up fairly nicely. Just looking at the chart from a cycle standpoint, every 2 weeks we usually see some type of little pause or pullback, and that's kind of just where it is. There's nothing, even though there's panic selling in the stock market today, it's nothing like huge. It's not something to actually, really panic about. In my opinion, this is you get some of the sharpest pullbacks and some of the biggest spikes of fear in a bull market. You get these sharp pullbacks, they only last for a day or three, and then the market turns around and just keeps on going higher. And so I think that's what's kind of just happening. It's just a little wave of profit taking. People get really nervous and they panic out of trades, and then the market turns around and keeps going higher. So I do feel like this is just an emotional move. It's just almost like a little speed check for the stock market saying, hey, we had a nice run. It's time to shake things up a little bit, slow it down, and spook out the weak hands and let those shares drop into people who are comfortable to hold shares for a longer period. So I don't see it any more than really just that at this point.
What's going on with natural gas? I know it had a great run with the heat wave. Is that continuing?
Well, natural gas has had a beautiful run. It's pushed up really nice in the last month or so. It's really been struggling the last 5 trading days. Now, it was trading sharply higher this morning. It traded up to around, the continuous contract traded up to about $3.80. It's hit that level 3 times in the last 5 trading days, and each time it gets sold right back down, and it's being sold back down today. So we're definitely, it's at a resistance. That is a really key level across the chart in terms of resistance. We've seen this level tagged a few times, and we have seen very strong corrections back in 2017 and 2018, pulled back when it hit this level. So it is definitely a resistance area, but the chart pattern is still very strong. It's still holding up, and it looks like it wants to go higher. And it's funny because commodities in the markets in general go against kind of typical reason and logic. That's why most people get caught on the wrong side. They like something because they got good earnings, yet good earnings come out and the share prices fall. Well, you look at natural gas here. We're going into a hot streak, a hot spell, and we're seeing natural gas prices just keep going up, and the chart looks really bullish. Naturally, you'd think we're going to see natural gas prices fall, but at this point, they're still pointing to higher prices, and the sell-off that we're seeing today, I think it's down about 5% from the highs this morning as well. I think it's going to be trying to go higher still. I think it could break that $4 mark and really take off and start another leg up. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely at a resistance zone, and we want to see if it can get some traction. If it can close above 380, then I think it's off to the low 4s. It's going to have a pretty big run.
What's going on with crude?
Crude oil has done a lot of the same thing. You and I have talked about this for a while. There's some very clean charts for crude oil, and based on the low that we saw in April last year, and the recent high that it had made in more or less July of last year, and then it had a little bit of a pullback. Well, you could use that rally and pullback to gauge where the next rally was going to go, and that next rally was up to the $68 per barrel mark, which it ended up hitting earlier this year. And now we get to use that leg up on the charts and the pullback that we saw back in April of this year, and we can forecast where the upside targets are for crude oil going forward. And crude oil hit this morning in pre-market pretty much the $77 per barrel level on the continuous contract, and that is a key resistance zone where it's naturally going to have sellers lurking there. That is where the momentum of these patterns is saying, hey, when it reaches this level, it's going to run out of steam, and that's probably going to have some type of pullback. And that's what happened. We hit that level this morning in pre-market. Oil has reversed. It's fallen about 5% from the highs in pre-market. And now I think it's going to be out of favor and trade sideways for potentially a couple of weeks and build another sideways bull flag pattern. And then I still think it's going to go higher. The next upside target is actually $88 per barrel. So this is actually just the halfway point. The next stop is going to be 88, and I think that'll catch a lot of people off guard. And it'll be very good for the energy sector stocks, that's for sure.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, what's going on with the U.S. dollar?
The U.S. dollar... U.S. dollar is, I think, a big part of what's driving some of the price action we're seeing today in commodities, which the U.S. dollar was down pretty sharp this morning, and that's one of the reasons why I think we saw precious metals have a strong rally. We saw crude oil pushing up. But early morning here, we did see a big reversal. U.S. dollar had a huge rally, and we saw commodities just go into a nosedive today and sell off. And the U.S. dollar is still a very bullish chart. When you look at it, it's pointing to still a very significant run. I think we could still see 93.50 on the U.S. dollar index chart. Potentially, we could go all the way up somewhere to around the 94.75 area. And if we do get that second half of this pattern, this rally, then that is going to definitely put a lot more, take the wind out of the sails for commodities for another couple of weeks. It could move very quickly there. The last time we saw one of these rallies, it only took 3 trading days to get there. So depending on how the dollar moves, if it has 3 big back-to-back days, we could just see a quick drop, a washout in oil and precious metals, and then the dollar puts in a top. But overall, the dollar is back into a short-term uptrend. It's pointing to higher prices, and as long as that dollar is moving up, it's going to keep commodities kind of under pressure. But I do think longer term, we're going to see the U.S. dollar eventually break down below kind of 88 cents on the index. And when it breaks that, which I still think is several months out, that's when we're going to see, I think, a huge commodity rally. I think we are already in a commodity super cycle. I think we have another 3 to 5 years of higher commodity prices. And the dollar breaking down below 88 is going to be, I think, the straw that breaks the camel's back. Is just, we're just going to see commodities go absolutely ballistic and take off to the upside, and the U.S. dollar will just devalue at a pretty quick rate.
What's going on with Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's been treading water here for, about a month now, month and a half. It's trying to get some traction. It doesn't know if it's forming a bottom here or if it's just a pause before it has a continuation move to the downside. Looking at the chart pattern, it is it has a bearish bias. All the moving averages are sloping down, so that's telling us it doesn't matter the time frame you're looking at it, it's in a downtrend. So the odds are trend's more likely to continue, which is down, than it is to go up. It is forming a high volatility pattern, meaning whichever way it breaks, if Bitcoin breaks and ends up rallying above 41,300 and can close above that level, I think it's going to very quickly pop to 50 or 55,000. If it breaks and closes below 30,000, then I think we're going down to roughly 16,000, potentially all the way down to 11,000. So it is building up a lot of energy. There's a ton of pent-up energy in this pattern, and whichever way it breaks, it's going to be a really big move. So you're kind of holding like a grenade. You don't know when it's going to blow up. You don't know which way it's going to go. And to me, the safe bet is to just wait and see which way this is going to go, because it would be great to be able to pick up Bitcoin on a 100% measured move down at 11,000 or 16,000 and pick it up near a low and then watch it rally versus keep holding on to it and watching all that money potentially just vaporize.
Chris, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Hey, anytime, Jim. Always a pleasure.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen from thetechnicaltraders.com. If you have any questions for Chris or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com and we'll ask that question for you. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.